Hi everyone, welcome. I'm doing a voiceover to replace the original audio of this video because as you can see it's playing back much faster than normal. It's because I really wanted to just breeze through this footage 1, 2, 3 because this, as you might have already gathered from the title of the video, was a little case of mistaken identity. So I went down there to sort of celebrate the 200th day in service of a couple African nightcrawler bins that I have. And for whatever reason, I kind of got it in my head that I needed to go down and check in on a couple European nightcrawler bins. So what I ended up doing was I pulled out those bins that I had mistaken to be the 200-day-old systems. They ended up being European nightcrawlers that were actually 239 days old, a little bit older than the bins that I was intending to go down there and feed. And they had only been fed 3 days prior. So as I'm going through, I'm expecting to see different types of food. I'm getting a little bit surprised by the types of leftovers I'm finding because it's not the types of food that I remembered feeding the bins that I had intended to come down there and feed. And all the while, I'm kind of going back and forth, a little bit confused as to what I'm encountering and what I'm seeing, and thinking to myself, I think I've made a big mistake here. But it was interesting footage, and there were some good worm sightings, so I figured I'd just put it into the video editor and play it back at about 8 times speed, and that would give me about 4.5 minutes to lay down a little bit of voiceover. So you can see here we're already in the process of closing up shop on the completion of feeding bin number 1. And yeah, these bins are busy and they're fun bins to check in on, so I didn't regret doing it. The only regret was that, now I sort of fed bins that didn't really need it. And here too, you could see how I had put back the plastic coverings. I did find that the systems were a little bit more moist than they need to be, a little bit more damp. So I put the plastic back on in both systems in such a way that it would allow for a little bit of airflow, a little bit of drying. But other than that, we're now in bin number 2 that didn't need to be fed because both of these got fed 3 days ago. I think the main telltale was pumpkin. I found chunks of pumpkin, which after what I had thought to have been 11 days, it would have been 11 days since the last feeding of the bins that I had intended to feed. There's no way that those pumpkin chunks that you're seeing, those little white square bits, would have been leftovers after 11 days in any bin anywhere. So right away I knew that something was really amiss in these systems. And as we do sometimes, I did a little bit of walk away from the bin footage like you see now where the worms were just left to sort of retreat down into the bedding as I step aside to take care of some other stuff or simply just to allow the worms to make their way back down into the bedding. And I guess another thing that I did besides leaving the plastic on loosely was I did put in a whole bunch of dry paper. So even before I put in the fresh foods, you might have noticed me putting in 4 pieces of crinkled up dry fresh newspaper. So between the dry paper going in and the top covering plastic being replaced pretty loosely, hopefully the systems will have a little chance to air out. Especially since the food that they got was banana peels, which don't really give off a lot of moisture, but the other food that was put in there besides the banana peels was watermelon. So we did introduce a type of food that would actually add a little bit of moisture to the system. And, well, I guess now with the glut of food in there, with the leftovers from 3 days ago that they got, as well as the food that they got today, I could probably wait a good couple weeks before needing to come back into these systems to feed. I guess the other observation I made in these systems was how we were very close to the top edge and how it did feel like we were a little bit cramped for space. So maybe these systems are actually just going to be ready for migration and harvest and all that other fun stuff soon. So we're now reaching the end of the video here. I'm already kind of in the process of explaining how I've got stuff to clean up and put away, and I'm thanking you guys now. So let's get to that. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up, even though it was a screw up video. So that's it, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye now.